Hello, I'm Alexandra Curley, and I'm a senior consultant at High Yield Insights. High Yield is a strategic research consultancy with a presence in the US and Europe. We help consumer brands seeking advanced data-driven insights about the cannabis market. My background in market research began in 2004 with experience gained at Euromonitor and Mintel. I've been providing research and insights in the global legal cannabis industry since 2018. Today, I'm going to talk to you about how we can apply robust panel data for insights into emerging consumer goods markets, and I'll be drilling down into a couple of case studies from the legal cannabis industry. Our research set out to define and measure CBD users and prospective users. We wanted to identify the key drivers for adoption. We also wanted to identify mass market opportunities for CPG firms to integrate CBD products and innovate against this category. But we were also looking to understand the unique dimensions of a very fragmented cannabis market, including insights on CBD usage and attitudes across states with adult use, medical, and limited cannabis programs. Lastly, we ran our survey to over 35,000 adults in the US because we wanted to understand the impact of COVID-19 on the consumer, the CBD consumer, so that we could provide recommendations on how pandemic response can help to acquire new customers who are focused on health and wellness. The sample size allows for spotting and analysing niche opportunities such as CBD for exercise recovery. Existing CBD players can inform innovation and brand positioning, and emerging brands and entrants can tap into unmet consumer needs and identify pockets for rapid growth. With over 10,000 respondents expressing an interest in trying CBD, that subset of data enables a detailed analysis of tomorrow's adopter of CBD products. Our research is very much focused on need states and psychographics, and the resulting learnings can apply to any market with legal access to CBD. The findings challenge common perceptions and what seem to be well understood trends, such as CBD for sleep. Although there are cultural differences in how people are able to meet their universal needs, whether that's access to the internet, range of shops, the impact of the weather on their lifestyles, a robust data sample enables us to view that data through multiple lenses. It's an understatement to say that the pandemic has created something of a shake-up in our lives, and all too often we make assumptions of human behaviour without seeing the subtle but significant shifts that are creating a wedge between our perceptions and the on-the-ground realities. Therefore, having solid data that can be interrogated in a number of different ways will become more critical than ever before in spotting emerging opportunities. In this presentation today, we're going to take a look at a couple of those universal human needs, sleep and health, to understand how, particularly against the backdrop of the pandemic, people's behaviours, aspirations, and therefore product requirements are changing. Not only this, though, the way that people shop is changing. And stepping aside from the obvious spending less time in store, doing more online, this has got a trickle-down effect on how they select products for purchase. And as you'll see later in this presentation, there's a growing reliance on Ask the Audience, with consumer reviews replacing in-store advice and impulse purchases. With our large sample size, we've been able to drill down into the established consumer segments within CBD, such as the use of CBD for pain relief or stress and anxiety, or sleep issues, all the way through to looking at those that are starting to emerge, driven by consumer behaviours, such as substitution for prescription or OTC medications, and then looking at those that are really, really niche. And I'll give a little case study later on in this presentation about the use of CBD within exercise recovery. People's sleep has been disrupted by the pandemic. This is a universal fact borne out by respectable research in not only the US and Canada, but also within the UK, Asia, and across Europe. With limited initial availability, just getting hold of legal CBD was in itself a novelty. But those days are now gone, and the market landscape is evolving rapidly to better meet consumer needs and expectations. Consumers are beginning to demand more in the way of standards, quality, and assurances, and their reasons for being in the market are increasingly diverse. Brand development and niche usage needs see CBD brands continue to tier and tailor their products to ever more specific needs. And with the global market split between recreational, medical, and wellness uses, CBD is now a very broad church for very different consumers. Homogeneous catch-all products haven't got any place in the developed CBD market. And understanding who is using CBD and for what purpose is at the heart of cultivating the right community around a brand. Our research identifies a plethora of needs, and in our research into the use of CBD for sleep issues, we take a closer look at the prevalence of sleep issues and how this need differentiates these consumers from the rest of the CBD user base. Sleep is a struggle for large bodies of the population. And with the world in the grip of a pandemic, preceded by significant political instability, and now facing a future of economic and environmental uncertainty, it isn't surprising that the world over, sleep has been compromised. Our survey size enabled us to drill down to a subset of over 1,500 adults in the US who use CBD to manage their sleep issues. This has yielded some deep insights that were able to substantiate or disprove our current assumptions about who is buying CBD to help them sleep. Just over 4 in 10 CBD users buy CBD to manage insomnia or sleeplessness, putting this in the top 4 conditions for which US consumers are using CBD. With people across the world also seeing their sleep negatively impacted by the pandemic, it would be a surprise if they weren't also on the lookout for some in-home natural remedies that help them catch a few more Zs. It's a fact that the connection between sleep and stress are intertwined, and there's also a very strong correlation between those who are experiencing acute levels of stress and anxiety and those who say that their sleep has been affected. Women dominate the use of CBD supplements to treat sleep disorders. This is likely to be a reflection of the fact that women are more likely to suffer from insomnia owing to hormonal changes. And various studies have also suggested that women are more likely to suffer from stress and anxiety than men, which is also another common trigger for bouts of insomnia. But our research isn't just about seeing who's in the market, it's also about understanding who isn't. As we age, our sleep quality deteriorates, and in addition, we're more likely to develop medical conditions that can disrupt sleep. We might expect that this would drive CBD usage in seniors and boomers, but instead, our research highlights significant scope for broadening the user base to meet this need. This will, of course, include tackling the stigma attached to the cannabis and hemp usage that prevails amongst some older generations. CBD use as a sleep aid is currently dominated by adults from younger life stages. Social anxiety, digital lifestyles, and sleeping with their phones next to them is all driving these disrupted sleep patterns among a younger consumer base. Branding sleep aids to align with products seen in the broader health and wellness market could therefore be a bit of a misnomer, and it requires a younger feel to speak to the existing user base, but something more conservative and clinical to bring in the absent elders. The CPG industry has been dominated by advertising, and in mature markets, there's probably few mainstream products that people haven't heard of or tried. Advertising has been the key to offer brand differentiation in marketplaces dominated by the big brands. But in an emerging market that is not only establishing a footing with the consumer, but is also trying to emerge from its black market roots, traditional media has been less effective. We have assumed that CBD as an industry will simply follow in the footsteps of other CPG brands, but in fact, we're seeing that the market is leapfrogging the path taken by CPG companies to present day, and it's far more digital from the outset. In fact, one key finding for those brands preparing to launch their latest advertising campaign is that CBD sleep treaters aren't influenced by the most traditional forms of advertising. Instead, they prefer to do their own research online. Although it could be argued that the lack of traditional advertising has forced this behaviour upon them, it's also shaped their path to purchase journeys. They want to know that a product really works before they buy it, and word of mouth is highly important, with crowdsourced consumer reviews making the difference between a sale and a side glance. However, a strong brand website is also more important than it might be for those selecting what cereal they want to try next. Creating this clear pathway of education that leads to the brand website will be crucial in aiding the CBD sleep treaters in their investigation to find a solution and the perfect brand for them. Our research shows that product substitution rates are high, most notably for prescription products, with 40% of those who use prescription sleep aids saying that they've cut back as a result of using CBD. It's a massive indictment of the positive effects of CBD on sleep issues. But taking this one step further, it's got significant implications, given that sleeping pills are one of the most commonly used medications in the US. OTC sleeping aids in the US were worth $402 million in 2019. And in Canada, an average of 1 in 10 people over the age of 65 regularly use sleeping pills. In fact, the size of the European sleep aids market was worth an estimated $14 billion in 2020. The market is predicted to show significant potential in the coming years, and this is set to create even more opportunities for brands looking to cash in on growing demand for natural sleep aids. The prevalence of a lack of sleep in current times creates new consumer interest in products that help them achieve the holy grail of 7 to 9 hours a night. With rapid market growth, we know that CBD is gaining traction in the plant-based wellness market, and we've predicted that it will have a notable impact on sales of more traditional remedies. However, we've now got the consumer data to show that this is already happening. Admittedly, it's self-reported, but the internet is awash with testimonials of patients reveling in their reduction or complete halt to the use of pharmaceutical medications as a result of using CBD. Sleep is a key market opportunity, and it will see consumers approaching the issue across a variety of formats. This also brings the market into direct competition, not only from the prescription and OTC markets, but also from global brands such as PepsiCo, which are looking into health and wellness concepts with and without CBD to target this need state. CBD is a young market, and it lacks the level of brand tiering available in more mainstream FMCG markets. However, change is coming, and operators need to stay abreast of the CBD consumer and their differing needs. Referring back to Maslow's hierarchy of human needs, health is seen as a safety need, but increasingly it's becoming a physiological one as well. Governments all around the world are encouraging people to get outside, exercise, take a walk to help boost mental health as well as their physical well-being. And this is creating new opportunities for products and brands that will help to minimize injury, speed up the recovery process in terms of reducing inflammation or easing post-workout aches and pains and improving muscle repair. Broader exercise trends show an increase in the market, and the health and fitness industry still generates big bucks. Deloitte estimates that Europe's health and fitness industry was worth some 27 billion euro in 2018. And globally, health and fitness clubs are estimated to reach almost 100 billion by 2024. As the market matures, so too does the sophistication of its product offering. And we're currently observing a greater concentration of products in the post-workout recovery sector. In time, we'd expect to see a more holistic approach from the CBD market with regards to pre, during, and post-segmentation of products, such as a shot to boost performance, CBD waters to hydrate during the workout, and possibly a replenishing snack bar to boost post-workout recovery. Growing awareness of the health implications of obesity have definitely put a focus on health and wellness, with exercise and sport forming a central role in maintaining health. In the US, there's been a rising presence of sports professionals such as Clay Thompson, Alex Morgan, Travis Pastrana, and Paul Rodriguez launching their own CBD lines. Canadian rugby team, the Toronto Wolfpack, was the first to launch a CBD product branded by a professional sports team. Closer to home, in the UK and Ireland, we've seen a number of sports people from the worlds of football, rugby, and MMA using, endorsing, or launching CBD products. This is all helping to cement the role of CBD in the workout routine, and the launches in topical rubs, for example, are helping to show its use in the role of physical recovery following exercise. It is estimated, however, that just over 50 million people in the US and Canada get the recommended daily amount of exercise. However, just 2% use CBD in their workout routine. This represents an enormous opportunity for segment growth. So let's take a quick look at what we've learned from those who are already incorporating CBD into their exercise routines. According to the US Census Bureau, in 2019, almost 1 in 5 Americans aged 15 plus engaged in sports and exercise every single day. It's rising faster among women, but a higher proportion of men incorporate this daily physical activity into their lifestyles. With higher engagement, it follows then that men are more likely to use products that boost their sporting performance and recovery. It's also dominated by younger cohorts. Having grown up in a social media environment, public image is more important to the younger cohorts who like to share videos and pictures of their workouts. They're also more likely to post about the products they use to help them achieve their health and fitness goals. As an emerging market, CBD products are still typically more expensive than other CPG products available, and therefore higher income households are more likely to experiment with these lifestyle products. They dominate users of CBD for exercise recovery. It's a fact that the standards of the CBD industry are sadly not yet on a par with the established consumer goods markets. But the legal cannabis industry is straddling a line between the dedicated long-term users and the newbies who are perhaps looking for more reassurances from the well-known brands. There is a consumer perception that big brands will legitimize the market, but also that they're going to make this too corporate. This is telling us that consumers want the reassurances from the big brands, but they're not yet ready for this to become just like any other FMCG market. When you think of the people who use consumer goods to aid their exercise, you might first think that the products they're using are waters, juices, protein shakes, or perhaps energy bars. But our research is showing that this market is much further behind in the consumer product relationship. The use of CBD for exercise recovery is dominated by males, and data is showing they tend to be more daring and more likely to try new products within the cannabis industry. They're also more likely to be the early adopters, and as a result, product repertoire is high, with 50% of the CBD for exercise recovery users being current users of products across 4 or more market categories. Interestingly, they are less likely to consume CBD in the drinks format, with sports drinks being consumed by fewer than 4 in 10. However, once the gyms reopen, this could become a good opportunity to put CBD sports drinks in front of the target audience who are keen to try. The consumer who uses CBD for exercise recovery is different to the general CBD consumer. They've got higher expectations of products and brands, and they place a high priority on healthfulness. They're keen readers of labels, and it's likely that CBD on its own will not be enough to entice sales. Blending with other functional ingredients could help to steal share of an already established market, given the higher than average propensity of consumers to also use dietary supplements and products with enhanced ingredients such as protein. Although there is a belief that specialist brands know more about the market, the CBD for exercise recovery user welcomes the presence of bigger brands in the hope that they're going to improve those standards. In the short term, we expect to see M&A within the sector, with larger brands purchasing the most reputable names to lend the standards of those big brands to the specialist knowledge of the indie operators. For the moment, this market is dominated by male users, but as more women take up exercise, we see a point in the future where brands and packaging take on a much more gendered split. For now, the market looks different to how we think it might post-pandemic, where opportunities for retail of sports recovery products will increase significantly. Current opportunities for product use, such as in gyms, fitness classes, are all curbed. This presents challenges for the market, and it is shaping consumer behaviours. Our research was conducted 6 months into the pandemic, and it will be important to track consumer behaviours in the coming years to understand which habits formed during the pandemic are here to stay and which will return to their old ways. The research in the CBD market is currently dominated by ad hoc surveys of customer lists, but this tends to offer a skewed takeaway of consumer insights. Broader research that explores the CBD consumer in context is absolutely critical to getting a true picture of the CBD consumer and ensuring that researchers don't just look for data to support their assumptions, but rather seek out objective data that will help the industry to grow in a much more organic fashion. This is a market that is currently driven by manufacturers. They are incorporating ingredients that allows them to make the product benefit claims to help drive understanding and demand. Sleep, pain relief, and anti-anxiety are key cases in point. But as consumer usage starts to evolve, we'll see more segments forming. But these are more consumer-led rather than manufacturer-led. Take substitutions of OTC and prescription medicines or alcohol drinks, for example. The manufacturers' hands are tied on what claims they can make, and this will limit innovation in these segments. However, with online reviews and word of mouth playing such a pivotal role in this industry, we can expect to see those niches open up further, but this time is being propelled by consumers. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions or you wish to get in touch, please don't hesitate to let me know.